Episode 25, Greg's Trial and Divorce.
Hello. Welcome to GNN News. This is Anchorman George Cumming. We interrupt this program with some breaking news. This just in. Greg Parker has just been arrested for child abuse. His wife, head psychologist Dr. Paula Parker, requested a divorce hearing because he's been bullying and abusing their youngest son, Jason, who's also a member of the Dogs of War. The divorce hearing will take place tomorrow. But until then, we'll wrap things up for today's newsflash and return you to our regularly scheduled program. This is Anchorman George Cummingham, signing off.
The next day, at the courthouse. All rise for the Honorable Judge Jeannie Applegate.
You may all be seated. All right, court is now in session. Gregory Parker, I've called this meeting because your wife, Dr. Paula Brewster Parker, has requested a divorce hearing upon pressing the following charges. Prosecutor Henry Maverick, read the charges.
Gregory Parker, you've been charged for aggravated assault and child abuse.
How do you plead?
Well, I would have to say not guilty. My wife and kids, in spite of her efforts to psychoanalyze me, never really understood what I've gone through. I've been bullied myself as a kid when I was around Jason's age, and my parents neglected me out of favoritism, all because I'm stupid.
Honestly, Greg, your plea's understandable because no kid would ever trust a bully. But still, based on the charges that were pressed against you, I believe it's safe to say that you became one yourself. So, I call upon my first witness, Arrimas Arrington.
Greg, bullying isn't necessarily a crime if a kid does that to another, but if an adult, especially a parent, does that to a child, that's a big no-no. It's especially no excuse to give Jason a concussion for creating T6 or beating the Raymond quadruplets up. I understand what you've gone through as a child, but based on how badly you treated your son, I say you're guilty.
Thank you, Miss Arrington. I call upon my next witness, Typos Ones.
Greg's actually much worse than a bully. He broke into Rapper City Elementary School and caused a fake lockdown in order to scare all of our students. Therefore, he's guilty.
Thank you, Mr. Wines. I call upon my next witness, Diesel Gavin.
Wait a second, Diesel, are you wearing new clothes or something?
As I said to my ex-wife over half a decade ago, fashion talk will get you nowhere. But yes, I have a new outfit on. I'm sorry to hear that you yourself have been getting bullied and neglected when you were a child because of your low IQ. But that's no reason to embarrass your own son in front of me, Doris, and Eliza, or to ground him for everything he does. You even grounded Eliza for telling him on you. Hence, you're guilty as charged.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin.
You're welcome, Your Honor. And I'm sorry to hear about the previous judge. May he rest in peace.
Yeah. It was sad for me to hear too. Anyway, I call upon my next witness, Doris Gavin.
Aside from what Greg did to Jason and Eliza, he also tried to beat Caillou up in front of Stephanie. Luckily, Eliza saved my eldest biological son in the nick of time. I remembered when Boris gave Caillou a bunch of concussions in other channels, but to have Greg do so in order to get back at Eliza is much worse. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Mrs. Gavin. I call upon my next witness, Eliza Murray Anderson.
Mr. Parker, I knew you had it rough against people who were smarter than you, but I didn't expect you to have gotten bullied by that sort of people. My mom was also abused by my grandparents from her side of the family, but for a different reason. And the fact that Jason's grandparents from your side of the family neglected you, all because Jason had an uncle who was also smarter than you? That doesn't sound right. But for embarrassing Jason in front of me, grounding him for everything he does, and teaming up with Dr. Stein to ground me for telling him and Theodore on the both of you, I say you're guilty. And because Jason told me you had a problem with him being a member of the Dogs of War, it was my idea to form that squad. Not his. Mine.
Objection, Your Honor. I had no idea Eliza formed the Dogs of War, but she dragged me all the way home by the arm against my will. She was stronger than she looked back then.
Overruled. Eliza happened to have noticed you threatening to beat Caillou up. That's why she took you home the way you described it. Now, I call upon my next witness, Spinosaurus.
Greg, I understand that you were bullied and neglected as a child, but you can't let your trauma get the best of you by taking your anger out on Jason. That's not the way to code. And your wife's been trying to help you by talking to you about your issues, but you never gave her a chance to help you until it was too late. You've been a terrible husband. You were also a terrible father to your kids. Especially Jason. And aside from that, your past is no reason to call me an overgrown lizard or try to beat me and tears up either. So for all the stuff I just said, I say you're guilty.
Thank you, Spinosaurus. I call upon my next witness, MarcusAnimates 5.
I get that you had a terrible past and I feel really sorry for you, but that's no excuse to ground me or abuse any of your kids. So for everything you did, Greg, I say you're guilty.
Thank you, MarcusAnimates 5. I call upon my next witness, Maximilian.
You know, Greg, I can definitely sympathize with you when it comes to getting bullied. My wife herself was bullied when she was at school, all because she defended someone who was obese. That experience she had back then drove her to help the same sort of people through science. But still, that ain't no reason to ground my son for grounding her for grounding the whole world with you. So, Your Honor, I say Greg's guilty as charged.
Wait. Your wife wanted to help people with obesity through science. And she was bullied at school too.
Yep. And it drove her crazy enough to abuse my boy.
No offense, Max, but your wife needs some help. Anyways, I call upon my next witness, Theodore.
I agree with my dad. While I am not as smart as Jason, I'm smart enough to say that you let your trauma from when you were his age get the best of you and became a bully yourself. And that's no excuse for you to ground me for what my dad mentioned or to fat shame me. Therefore, Your Honor, I say that Mr. Parker's guilty.
Thank you, Theodore. I call upon my next witness, Rebecca.
I agree with my twin brother. Mr. Parker, just because you got bullied yourself as a child don't mean you got the right to bully Jason yourself. You're as bad as my mama. Therefore, Your Honor, I say that big buff gorilla in front of you is guilty.
Rebecca, can you and your dad stop calling me that? Do I look like a gorilla to you?
Silence. Greg, you will not speak unless spoken to or if you have any objections. Now, I call upon my next witness, Sam Ygal.
Okay, Greg, I get it. You were bullied as a kid, but that's no reason for you to bully Jason or ground me for making a grounded series of my own out of you. Therefore, I say you're guilty.
Thank you, Sang. I call upon my next witness, Raymond.
Greg's actually become worse than whoever's been bullying him at his old school. He had the nerve to brutally assault all 4 of my kids, the Raymond quadruplets. And he did that all because I grounded him for the way he's been abusing fellow Dogs of War member, Jason. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Ryan. I call upon my next witness, Hilda Raymond. I agree with my husband. Greg had no remorse for what he did to our kids. And he didn't learn his lesson after when they returned the favor. Therefore, I say he's guilty. Thank you, Hilda.
Objection, Your Honor. I had no idea that Hilda and Ryan were the Raymond quadruplets' parents. I felt remorse upon finding that out.
Overruled. That only proves that you did beat them up. Anyway, I call upon the first 4 victims, the Raymond quadruplets.
You 4 kids are all testifying against me at the same time?
That's right, Mr. Parker. Anyway, Your Honor, Mr. Parker's a sick monster. Due to the trauma he got from getting bullied at his old school for being stupid, he's been bullying and abusing Jason and he beat all 4 of us up.
He's been a pushover from day one. That's why, along with my brother and sisters, grounded him for life. But he saw fit to beat us up for it.
Yeah! Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, kids. I call upon my next witness, Dr. Christina O'Hara.
Aside from causing a fake lockdown at Rapper City Elementary School, Greg's also been grounding his own son, Jason, for everything he does. For example, he broke into the school a second time to ground Jason for answering a science question correctly and called me a quack for defending said boy and kicking him out. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Dr. O'Hara. I call upon my next witness, Daryl Cooper.
Greg, while I understand that my daughter Maya caused trouble up until Christmas 2028, that doesn't mean you should ground her for her past actions. She already redeemed herself, and she knows what it's like to get bullied. If you were in her shoes, You could have defended yourself with honor and dignity like she did. But instead, you chose to abuse your son. Therefore, I say you're guilty.
Thank you, Daryl. I call upon my next witness, Naomi Cooper.
I agree with my husband. It wasn't too late for Maya to start off fresh. We gave her a chance to do so and she took it. Greg, on the other hand, I'm not so sure of that. Therefore, I say that the so-called Goliath is guilty.
Thank you, Naomi. I call upon my next witness, Maya Cooper.
Look, Mr. Parker, I get that you was bullied when you was my little sister's age, and I can totally sympathize with that. But you ain't got no right to ground me or bully Jason. I was bullied by someone I know from my high school, and it was all because her mom set a bad example for her and her dad. You've become as bad as Lisa's mom. Therefore, I say you're guilty as charged.
All that coming from the former bad-rapping girl herself.
Not so fast. You will not say one more word to the witness. Now, I call upon my next witness, Richmonda Cooper.
I agree with my big sis. Mr. Parker's set as bad of an example for Jason and his siblings as Lisa's mom did her and King Julian Richings and Dr. Stein did to Theodore and Rebecca. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Richmonda. I call upon my next witness, Ridley Cooper.
Jason's dad's become an even bigger bully than my older sister Maya used to be. From what I heard, he's been grounding, bullying, and abusing Jason upon getting bullied himself. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Riley. I call upon my next witness, Officer Alan McHan.
From what Principal Harvard told my department, Greg broke into Rapper City Elementary School to cause a fake lockdown in order to scare not just Jason, but the other students. And since breaking into someone else's property, especially if it's a school, is a serious crime, I say that Greg's guilty as charged.
Thank you, Officer McHan. I call upon my next witness, Liam McHan.
I agree with my dad. I totally get why Mr. Parker's been bullying and abusing Jason, but that's no excuse to do so. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Liam. I call upon my next witness, Stephanie Gavin.
I saw Mr. Parker walking up behind Caillou, but as he confronted us with the intention of getting revenge on Eliza, he threatened to do so by beating Caillou up. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Stephanie. I call upon my next witness, Eric Gavin.
I agree with Stephanie, and I'm very disappointed about everything you did to Eliza, Caillou, and your own son Jason. You're an even bigger jerk than my former mom could ever be. While I understand that you yourself got bullied when you were his age, that's no excuse for acting like one. Therefore, Mr. Parker, I say you're guilty as charged.
Thank you, Eric. I call upon my next witness, Natalie Gavin.
I agree with my two older siblings. Mr. Parker, you've been bullying your son, Jason, just as much as my former mother did to me over half a decade ago, even giving him concussions. And I'm also shocked to hear that you even embarrassed him in front of Eliza, grounded her for telling Jason and Theodore on you and this Dr. Stein, and tried to beat you up. You're clearly guilty as charged.
Thank you, Natalie. I call upon my next witness, Caillou Anderson.
Mr. Parker's as much of a bully as Eliza said he was. Like my mom said, he snuck up behind me and threatened to beat me up in front of Stephanie. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Thank you, Caillou. I call upon my next witness, Redman Tez.
I agree with Spinosaurus, and I thought that when you tried to beat us both up, you learned your lesson not to do so after when I slammed you down into the ground. Obviously, you ain't learned nothing. Therefore, I'm finna have to declare you guilty as charged, yo. 'Cause that's the only way you're gonna have to learn.
Thank you, Tez. I call upon my next witness, MarcusAnimates.
I agree with Tez and Spinosaurus. That Greg over here is a bully. A very bad father. A real muscle-headed brute. I declare him guilty of all charges.
Thank you, Marcus. I call upon my next witness, Bradley Animations 2K6.
I plead the same thing as Marcus, Taz, and Spinosaurus, guilty.
Thank you, Brad. I call upon my next two witnesses, Crowtoon Productions Incorporated and Crowgirl 22.
Greg, what happened to you at your old school was awful and you can't change that, but that doesn't justify all the abuse you put your kids and the Raymond quadruplets through.
I agree with Crowtoon Productions Incorporated, and Paula's been trying to help you become a better husband and father. You made her fail as your wife. So Your Honor, we say that Greg's guilty as charged.
Thank you Crowtoon Productions Incorporated and Crowgirl 22. I call upon my next witness, Dr. Paula Parker.
Paula, don't you dare testify against me.
Sorry, Greg, but this is for your own good. Your Honor, Greg's been a terrible husband and failed as a father. He's been abusing all 3 of our kids, especially Jason. He gave Jason a concussion, tried to give me and Kevin a punishment day for calling him a bully and getting a low grade in his science test, locked all of our kids in our room, caused a fake lockdown at Rapper City Elementary School, embarrassed Jason in front of Eliza, called Spinosaurus an overgrown lizard and tried to beat him and Red Mantis up, grounded RobloxAnimate 5 for subscribing to Crowtoon Productions Incorporated, grounded Jason for everything he does, teamed up with Bernadette to ground the whole world, grounded Theodore for telling Max on Bernadette, teamed up with a quack again but this time to ground Eliza for telling both Jason and Theodore on them, grounded Sam Ygal for starting his own grounded series out of him, assaulted the Raymond quadruplets in retaliation for them grounding him for bullying and abusing Jason, grounded Maya Cooper for all of her past actions from last year after when she improved on her behavior, tried to beat Caillou up, pushed Tara down the stairs, and worst of all, he drove Jason to destroy the entire house by punishing him for not only being smarter than him, but for helping me, Tara, and Kevin ground him for abusing him. So, in conclusion, I declare that Gregory Lumberjack Parker is guilty and furthermore, I want to officially and definitely file him for a divorce. Permanently.
Okay. I think I've heard enough from you. Thanks for your testimony, Dr. Brewster. And you may file the divorce papers after the trial. Wow. Just wow. You really are a sick monster, Greg. I think it's time for me to call upon the next victim of your crimes, Kevin Parker. Thank you, Kevin. I call upon the next victim of the crime, Tara Parker.
Daddy, what you did to me and my brothers were just those things you've ever done. I could have been brain dead from the time you pushed me down the stairs, you big jerk. Kevin and I may not be as smart as Jason, but we felt bad for him because of all the times you bullied him. Therefore, let's say you're guilty, you sick monster.
Poor Tara. Poor you. You know what, Red? You're not just a sick monster. You're a selfish, misogynistic, horrible father. And now, I call upon the last and main victim of the crime, Jason Parker.
Dad, before you drove me to destroy our family's entire house, I was never sure why you hated me or why you kept bullying me so much. But, if I had known you yourself got bullied when you were my age all because of your very low intelligence, I would have told you how sorry I felt for your humiliation. But I'm not gonna grow up to become as bad as you became because of your trauma. Instead, I'm gonna do what's right and stand up for myself for the first time in my childhood. For everything you've done to me, my siblings, my mom, and my friends, I say that you, Dad, are 100% guilty.
Now see what you've done.
Are you little?
Oh no you don't. You will not lay one single finger on that boy. Instead, you're going to stay where you are or else you'll be sent to jail for contempt of court. And before I reach a verdict, there are 3 more witnesses I would like to call up to the stand. The first 2 are the defendant's parents, Leslie and Margaret Parker.
What, my parents are testifying against me?
That's right, Greg. And we're very disappointed in you right now, young man.
Yeah. It's bad enough that you moved out all because you were jealous of Patrick, but to abuse all 3 of our grandchildren. Even Jason. You have definitely crossed the line.
If you 2 hadn't neglected me and chosen Patrick over me, I wouldn't have moved out.
Stop lying. You're lying to us and the judge like you lied to us before, Gregory.
What? What do you 2 mean he's lying?
Greg's been a bad boy ever since he got bullied at school when he was about Jason's age. He failed every single class and has been getting into all sorts of trouble back then.
And all the stuff he said about Patrick bullying him was all lies. Patrick was never the one bullying Greg. It was the other way around.
Don't you two even remember everything I said back then? He's been making fun of me all because I'm stupid.
Silence. Order in the court. Order in the court. That's enough. Somebody in this courthouse is obviously not telling the truth here. And I think I know just how to prove who should be found guilty. May I call Paula back up and have her face up front, please?
I presume those two over there at the stand are Greg's parents?
Of course. My name's Lester Parker, and right next to me is my wife, Margaret.
Okay. So, Your Honor, what is it you want me to do?
You took notes on Greg's side of the story about his relationship with his younger brother and parents, right?
Yes, I did. I had him confess to the truth behind the way he's been abusing our youngest son.
Dr. Paula, can we see those notes for a second? We need to see what he told you.
Here you go.
Wait. What?
Greg, you really said all that? You really thought we were that harsh on you?
Yes, I do. Everything I told Paula is the whole truth.
Your Honor, based on everything Paula wrote down, the stuff Greg told her was only half true.
What? What do you mean half true?
For starters, what Greg said about us never loving him and giving him any attention. That's a lie. We loved him just as much as we loved his younger brother.
Yeah, we were never abusive towards him in any way. We've only been grounding him ever since he began to misbehave after when he got bullied all throughout elementary school.
We never raised him to bully people the exact same way he got bullied at elementary school. The trauma he got from all that teasing and bullying drove him to become a bully himself.
Is there any evidence to prove your case?
All the evidence we have is in this laptop. You and the judge may want to take a really good look at it.
After looking over the evidence,
Great Caesar's ghost. Tons of report cards with all F's on them.
We rest our case. So, Your Honor, Paula, you two believe us now.
Uh-oh.
Your parents were right all along. They've never committed any acts of favoritism or child neglect. You've lied to us, Greg. First you lied to your parents, then your own wife, and now you lied to the judge.
You! Liar! Greg, I trusted you. And you did this to me. Me. Your own wife. You lied to me. All this time, you've been a big bully your whole entire life. You were never a good man. You know what? I'm done. Now I'm glad I decided to file you for a divorce. I thought I married a kind, strong, and sexy man, but now I realized that you've been evil all along.
Paula, stop. Calm down. You've done everything you could for this trial. Now sit back down until it's over.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'll go back to my seat.
Good. Now, I call upon my last witness, Patrick Parker.
Your Honor, my older brother has been a big bully ever since we were kids. Ever since his last year of elementary school, he's been picking on other students, including me. One time, when he was 18 years old, our parents left him in charge of babysitting me while they ran some errands. But during that time, he pushed me down the stairs. And he's also been beating me up with this Goliath-style knuckle sandwich all because I was laughing at him and calling him stupid while he was grounded for everything he did. I initially regretted doing that stuff because I felt sorry for him because he himself got bullied while at elementary school, but all that changed when he became the bully. Therefore, I say he's guilty.
Okay. I think I've heard enough. Gregory Lumberjack Parker, according to all witnesses and victims' stories, I hereby find you
Please don't say it.
guilty. Therefore, I was initially going to sentence you to 10 years in prison, but upon seeing your parents' evidence, I'll be extending your sentence to 30 years instead. In addition, you'll be forced to sign the divorce papers. Officers, take him away.
Gregory Parker, this is your cell. You'll be staying in here for 30 years. Don't even think about escaping, Goliath.
I can't believe Paula filed me for a divorce and testified against me. This is so unfair. When I get out of here, my whole family's gonna pay. Hear that, Jason? I'll get you back for this, you puny little nerd.
the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Move on, move on. Mama, she got it sticking in the cameraman. And we could have some. And he's up there. What's that? Hawaiian noises. He's banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee. Oh, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing. Get your chicks for free. We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen delivery. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Listen here, now, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free.
Well folks, we just about reached the end of the final episode of Greg Gets Grounded as well as the end of the series as a whole. I hope you all enjoyed it. If so, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And before we sign off, there's 2 announcements I'd like to make, but the first one might be a sad one. Firstly, from this point forward, Crowgirl22 and I are officially breaking up. Hence, we're no longer a fictional couple. The reason for this is because a few users in real life are finding the trend of OC girlfriends and boyfriends to be really annoying nowadays. And a few other people believe that having an OC character for a significant other could also have a detrimental effect on anyone's mental health. So this is for the best.
But on the bright side, nothing else has changed in that regard. Because I'm still his assistant and we're still co-founders of the Justice Crows. But we'll only just be friends.
And now with that out of the way, here's the next announcement. Eric DeSantiago created a new husband for Dr. Paula Brewster and gave me permission to feature him. His name is Timmy Hendrix Morrison.
Hey everyone. My name's Timmy Hendrix Morrison. I'm the new husband for Dr. Paula Brewster created by Eric DeSantiago. And my voice is Paul from Oddcast.
Since Greg and Paula are officially divorced and she's now a single mother, she'll meet and marry Timmy at some point after the series finale of Gregory Gets Grounded. And that's all for now. See you next time guys.